Set in. Hopefully that'll kick in for you there on YouTube. This is Evangelist Dan Goodwin speaking. This is Prophecy in the Spotlight coming to you live here and from down below Owensboro, Kentucky area. And we're going to bring you another piece of the puzzle tonight from our timeline that's on YouTube right now. It's been there a little over a week now. There's over 12,000 views on it. And you need to know what this is all about. And so you need to watch that. What I'm doing this week is I'm giving some puzzle pieces that are in that timeline, some important puzzle pieces that you need to understand if you're going to comprehend these, how we come up with the timeline, how we come up with a guess on, where we are on God's prophetic calendar. Not saying that we're ever going to pinpoint this, but it's interesting to look at, isn't it? And all right, the date is January 6th. Can you believe it? January 6th, Tuesday, 8:18 p.m. Central Standard Time. And let's jump right into this now. Again, go and watch that if you haven't watched it yet. It's one of the most important videos you're going to watch this year. I just watched 10 minutes of a 30-minute video this morning from a guy that I remember from back in 2017. He has a timeline. He's calling for a 2026 rapture. And, and at the 5 to 6 minute mark on his video, I saw a huge fault, a huge mistake on his part. And maybe we'll get into that a little bit tonight. And if you're wrong on that one thing that he messed up, your whole timeline's off. Off. I mean, okay. Let's get into this. All right, I'm going to talk tonight on the subject of the 7 feasts of the Lord, and that's what they're called. You go to Leviticus, the Old Testament, Leviticus. Chapter 23, you'll find all 7 feasts there. Now, they're not numbered for you. When I teach on this at a church, I usually have folks open the Bible, and I'll read each passage, and I'll tell them, that's feast number 1, that's feast number 2, 3. I'll help them find them, and I'll tell them to write something next to it. And the 7 feasts are mentioned in many places in the Bible, but they're all listed in order in chapter 23 of a book that many of you skip over when you do your Bible reading because you don't think there's anything interesting in Leviticus. I want to tell you something. There's a lot interesting in the book of Leviticus when you understand it. All right, so in my timeline, we talk about Christ dying on Passover, remember? And then following that, we talk about Stephen possibly being the time of the stopping of the Old Testament clock. The 69th week ends on Feast of Trumpets, 5.5 months later. Stephen is killed right there, possibly, we think. And the beginning of the 2,000-year church clock with the Gentiles overseeing it. Okay, now church didn't start there. Church started in the ministry of Jesus. But we're talking about the clock for the church age, the 2,000-year clock. I believe it started on Tishri 1 with the death of Stephen. And it's in the timeline, and you can go and watch that. So you see that I mentioned some feasts here, and that I mentioned the 69th week of Daniel, and the tribulation's the 70th week. These are terms that you need to understand. If you don't understand anything I just said, you'll never understand the timeline. And now you can watch the timeline. You can say, well, I trust Brother Good. That's okay for now, but you've got to get educated. You've got to get some growth and some maturity, and you got to be able to see this for yourself, not just take somebody's word on it. Now, it's okay to take somebody's word on something if you're not sure, until you can grow and mature and be able to feed yourself. But I don't take anybody's word on stuff. I want the Bible. I want to see it in the Bible. Okay, so the 7 feasts of the Lord is an important part of coming up with prophecy ideas and understanding the end time events. Because those, by the way, and I said in the title on YouTube, I said the seven feasts, God's prophetic calendar. It really is. And okay, remember, all Scripture has three ways to interpret. Literal. These seven feasts were literally carried out in the lives of the Israelites. They revolved around three major feasts, or three major harvests. I'm sorry, um, barley harvest around Passover time. Barley harvest during Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits. That's all barley harvest. Pentecost, several months later, and somewhere in June, would be Pentecost. That's feast number 4. And so you got Passover, unleavened bread that starts the evening. Passover ends exactly 6 p.m. A high Sabbath, by the way. Not Saturday, but a high Sabbath. Probably more important than Saturday. And then Feast of First Fruits, the first day of the week, Sunday, we call it. First day of the week after Passover is First Fruits. Christ rose from the grave that day, 6 p.m. Okay? Saturday night, 6 p.m., which is Sunday. I think we've talked about this. So that's your first 3 feasts right there. Passover on the 14th, on the full moon in the sky. 14th of Nisan, or Abib, as we should call it. The month of Abib, a springtime feast. And of course, we'll talk about Abib in a later session, because that's a very important piece of the puzzle. And I call it in my book the final piece of the puzzle. And I believe God gave this to me. I'm not saying nobody else got it. I'm saying God gave it to me, and I understood it, and I've preached it and wrote about it. Got a book right here. The barley. Get the glare. Man, what a glare. Huh? Get the glare for that. The barley harvest. I know it's backwards on your screen probably, but the barley. And this is the updated version of the barley harvest. And this is a great book. You'd love it if you don't have it. Some of that is in my other books, obviously, but you get it all in this book here if you don't have it. So these first 4 feasts have all been fulfilled. Jesus fulfilled Passover right to the day. He died on Passover. He fulfilled unleavened bread. He spent 3 days in the grave, beginning at the very moment that unleavened bread began, 6 p.m. at the end of Passover day. That's why, my friends, they had to get them off the cross. They came to break the legs of the soul of the men on the crosses, so that to make sure they were dead, because there was a high feast day that night at 6 p.m. 3 hours after they come and make sure they're dead. Jesus had already died. They broke the legs of the other 2 so they'd suffocate and die. Kind of gruesome, I know, but that's what they did. And so they couldn't push them up and breathe, so they'd suffocate. And that's unleavened bread starts at 6 p.m. It's a high Sabbath. Remember in the Bible when it says the Sabbath was nigh, so they had to get them off the crosses? You know why people believe in Good Friday? They misunderstand what that's talking about. They think that, it says right there the Sabbath was coming up, so they had to get them off the crosses. That means it was Friday, and Saturday is the day that the Sabbath. No, you're wrong. Saturday is the Sabbath, but that's not what he's talking about here. He's crucified on a Wednesday. They're put on the cross at 9 a.m. Wednesday morning, and Jesus is going to die at 3 p.m. Wednesday. He's going to 3 hours later. He'll be in the tomb at 6 p.m. Wednesday, which is what day now? That's where the calendar changes. It's no longer Wednesday. Now it's Thursday. So he'll be in the grave Thursday at 6 p.m. to Friday, Saturday. Okay. I should say Wednesday. I said that wrong. He goes to the tomb Wednesday night at 6 p.m. He's going to be there from Wednesday night at 6 p.m., which is Thursday on their calendar. And it's the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread that lasts for 7 days. Feast of Unleavened Bread is always the evening Passover ends. It's the 15th. 15th to the 21st, 7 days. And so Wednesday night at 6 p.m., then you got, let's count the days. Wednesday to Thursday at 6 p.m., 1 day. Thursday to Friday, 1 day. Friday to Saturday at 6 p.m., 3 days and 3 nights, exactly 72 hours. 6 p.m. Saturday night is what day? Sunday. Begins at Saturday night, 6 p.m. I've shared this many times here. Saturday night, 6 p.m., the calendar changes to the day of the week changes to Sunday at Saturday night, 6 p.m. This is so important. And that's why so many of your timelines out there are wrong. That's how they're coming up with what year Jesus died. They're looking for Good Friday. There is no Good Friday. It's a Catholicism. Catholics made up this junk. Good. There is no Good Friday. If you want to have a good day, it's Good Wednesday. He died. He went to the cross on a full moon on the 14th of Nisan, or the month of Abib, on Wednesday. Are you with me there? I promise you, I've written about this in several of my books. You can read it in great detail. And so I know it's in the Mystery of the Jubilee book. I know it's in there. The Mystery of Palm Sunday, a whole chapter in the mystery book. Somebody just ordered 2 of those today. I shipped them out today. McPherson, I think. She's probably watching right now. Your books, I heard and got them out today. Okay, and they went priority mail because you bought 2. And I sent them priority mail. You'll have them in a couple of days here, probably Thursday. So that chapter is in there, the Mystery of Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday is a huge prophetic event. And you're going to understand some of this stuff when you read that chapter, because I give the timeline and I give the crucifixion day, how that worked from Wednesday night to Saturday night. Okay, I believe that's the chapter that it's in, the Mystery of Palm Sunday, which was the 10th of Nisan, and 4 days later, the 14th, he goes to the cross, and I give the scenario in that chapter about this timeline. Because if you're new to this, you're probably trying to grasp what I'm saying, and it's not easy to do. We've all been taught this Good Friday stuff. So if you're looking for Good Friday to find out what year Jesus died, I got news for you. Your timeline will not be right because you've got the wrong year. Because you're looking at the full moon and a Passover on a Friday. And that's going to change everything. You're going to have a different year. Okay? You got to find a Passover that's on Wednesday. Okay? Are you with me? All right, so these 7 feasts, God's prophetic calendar. These 7 feasts are so important. Jesus dies on Passover. That was the day he had to die. He is the Passover. John said, "Behold, the Lamb of God which taketh away the sins of the world." Passover is about the lamb, killing of the lamb, shedding of the blood. And he's going to be in the grave during unleavened bread. What's unleavened bread about? Getting junk out of you, getting leaven out of your house, out of your life. He spends 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb, proving there was no leaven, no sin in his body, no corruption in his body. Feast of First Fruits, the first Sunday after Passover, which just happens to be, if it's a Wednesday Passover, it's always going to be 3 days and 3 nights to the first day of the week. Doesn't happen that way very often. So it did the year that Jesus died. It was perfect. So of course it was. And up from the grave he arose with a mighty triumph over his foes at 6 p.m. Saturday night, which is Sunday. All right, that's 3 feasts. Pentecost, a couple months later. 49 days later, to be exact, on the 50th day, it's Pentecost. Pent meaning 5, Pentecost. And that's the day that he empowered his church to preach the gospel to the world. And a lot happens on the day of Pentecost. You can read about that in Acts chapter 2. That's the fourth feast, all fulfilled right to the day. Okay? The fifth feast and the sixth feast and the seventh feast are unfulfilled at this moment. They are the Feast of Trumpets, number 5. Day of Atonement, we call it Yom Kippur, or the Jews do, feast number 6. And Tabernacles, feast number 7. By the way, they're all in the same month, a fall month. They call it Tishri, the 7th month on the biblical calendar, the month of Tishri. And it's New Year's for them. They celebrate their New Year's because it is New Year's, because creation happened on that very day at 6 p.m. in Genesis chapter 1. See how these pieces of the puzzle cannot be understood without an understanding of these different things. And so these have not been fulfilled yet. They all take place in the 7th month, Tishri. Feast of Trumpets is on day 1, which means it's a new moon. Remember, that's a lunar calendar. Starts with the new moon and goes to the full moon on the 14th and then shrinks until it disappears again. A new month starts, okay? And did Christ only die for the ones God gave him? No, no, sir. The Bible says Christ died for the sins of the world. He died for everybody, even the millions and billions that will reject him. Christ shed his blood and died for the sins of the world, for every sin that'll ever be committed. He died for. Now it's up to us to become believers, trust in him, and be saved. And I know there's a lot of teaching out there that he only died for the elect. I do not believe that. I believe the rich man in hell, I believe the payment was made for his sins, but he did not trust in the Messiah and have his soul redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. And what a tragedy that the payment was made, but the payment was rejected. And don't let that be you now. Don't let you be one that rejects this great redemption that was paid for by the Lord himself. And all right, so the first 4 feasts fulfill right to the day, and they're all important in our timeline. And the 2 witnesses, for instance, they're going to rise from the ground and ascend back to heaven on what day? Feast of First Fruits, the third feast. By the way, the same day of the week that had happened in the Bible when Jesus died. That doesn't happen very often. Passover is on the right day of the week in my scenario. And that doesn't happen very often. All right, this clears up a lot of confusion on this topic. It certainly does. And again, my Mystery of the Jubilee has a chapter called The Mystery of The Mystery of, now I've forgotten the name of it. It's the mystery of Palm Sunday. I'm sorry. The Mystery of Palm Sunday in the mystery book. And it's there. And I give the whole scenario where you can understand it in writing right there. If you're not catching it all on this YouTube video, I understand, or the Facebook. If you've been taught this all your life, like I was, Good Friday, Good Friday, Good Friday, and then you send some guy who steps up and says it's all a lie. It's not true. Wait just a minute here. I've been taught this all my life. What do you mean? It's got to be proved to you. You've got to prove it yourself. You've got to see it. Okay? And it's all intertwined with these 7 feasts and the 3 harvests. Okay? So these last 3 feasts are in the 7th month. They are not yet fulfilled prophetically. And Feast of Trumpets is the next thing on God's calendar, is the rapture. And I do not believe it will take place on the Feast of Trumpets on the Jewish calendar because of the Abib principle. Remember the month of Abib? And we'll talk about that maybe tomorrow. We'll explain what Abib means and why the month of Nisan is actually the month of Abib in the Bible, and what that means, and why the calendar changes because of it. And very important, and it'll solve a lot of problems. Later on, we'll talk about the 2520, 2,520 days, why that's important. That's a big piece of the puzzle. All these are big pieces of the puzzle. If you don't have all the puzzle pieces, you'll never get your puzzle together, will you? Now, you can get some of it, but there'll be some pieces missing. You'll never get it all fit together. All right. Somebody said Nissen is our April. Yes, it's sometimes March. It's March or April. Usually April, but sometimes March. Remember, their calendar only has 354 days. Ours is 365. So they don't synchronize. Every year they're different. Okay. So, and there's going to be a leap year for us of one day every 4 years. For them, there's a leap year of a whole month. They call it Adar 2. Adar is the month right before Passover month. And if the barley's not right, they add another month to reset the calendar. And I'll explain all that tomorrow, because that's a subject all on its own that you got to really think. And okay, is this starting to make sense? Is it starting to make more sense? Because I eat, drink, and sleep this stuff. I remember when I first learned about the seven feasts. By the way, long after Bible college, I didn't learn this in Bible college. And I remember I used to have notes when I'd teach it. I haven't had to have notes in years now. I mean, it's just part of me. I can rattle this stuff off. And Leviticus 23, they're all there. It explains when they start and all that. Okay? On the Feast of First Fruits, they're going to wave a sheaf of barley, the first fruits of the barley harvest. If there's no barley, there's no sheaf to wave, right? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Wonder if we get raptured before 2030. Hey, how about 2026, buddy? Go watch my video. I'm not saying that I'm sure about this. I've got a date that looks very interesting. Somebody said wasn't aware until recently how many books Brother Goodwin has written. I don't even know. I gotta count them one of these. I've been saying for the last 2 or 3 books, I've been saying I've written 20, but it can't be right. I don't know how many. I've got 8 or 9 booklets that are like 40 pages, and then I've got my bigger books, and nothing real big. I think my biggest book is the mystery book, Mystery of the Jubilee, which is 300 or 300 and something pages. I try to keep them under that. I got 2 spiral bounds now, the book of Daniel and the book of Genesis, all prophecy stuff, even Genesis, book of beginnings. And those are new. The puzzle book is new. Those are my last 3. I got 2 more I'm working on right now that I'm hoping they'll be ready in January, and it will be. They'll be ready here in January. Let's see. I do not believe, folks. I do not believe that we'll hear that trumpet. I believe the trumpet is sounded at the Father's house for the benefit of the Son to let him know to go get his bride. And so I could be wrong, but I don't believe that you and I are going to hear that trumpet. I think it's just going to be boom, we're gone, just like that. And okay. So, Feast of Trumpets, the Rapture, Feast of Day of Atonement, 10 days later on the 10th of the month of Tishri. That's Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, the most holy day of the year for Israel. And it's the one day of the year the high priest could go into the Holy of Holies, but not without blood. He had to bring a sacrifice and offer sacrifice for the people for that year or for the coming year, whatever. And very important day. And I believe and by the way, that's the day, if you read Leviticus chapter 25, you read about the sabbatical cycles, which are very important. That'll be another lesson too. So the barley harvest, the sabbatical cycles, the 7-year sabbatical cycles, Extremely important to understand this timeline, because that's what the 69th week of Daniel, these 70 weeks of Daniel are sabbatical cycles. They have a beginning and an ending. And and that's how I come up with Stephen and the importance of Stephen dying 5.5 months after the cross on Feast of Trumpets at 6 p.m. And okay, 7th of March. Okay, I don't know what that means, but anyway, so Day of Atonement, the 10th of Tishri. That's feast number 6. I believe that's Christ coming on the white horse with the title deed, the seven seal book in his hand, the title deed to planet Earth that he has just redeemed. Comes back to the planet and everything's redone. And 5 days later, on the 15th of the month, Feast of Tabernacles. What does the word tabernacle mean? To dwell with, symbolizing dwelling with God. That's God's plan. God saved you because he wants to dwell with you, wants to fellowship with you. And all right, so there's the 7 feasts. They all have a part to play. That Feast of Tabernacles, that the 7 days, it's a 7-day feast. That's symbolic of the 1,000-year kingdom age. The 7th day where God rested. The kingdom age is a Sabbath, a giant Sabbath. By the way, 7,000 years. 6 days God created, 6 days. 7th day God rested. 6,000 years. Days with the Lord's 1,000 years. 7th day God rest. The kingdom age, the millennium. Awesome possum, huh? All right. Let's see if we got any questions or comments here that I need to look at here. Somebody put a puzzle piece up there. That would be such a deterrent to being a thief for an aspiring thief to see the fate of those apprehended and deemed guilty. I don't even know what that gentleman's talking about. Surviving to thriving. I have no idea what that's about. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I said something and I have no idea. Anybody know? Did Christ only die? Oh, I answered that already. This does help clear up a lot of the reasons for such confusion on this topic. You ain't kidding. That's the same guy. So I don't know what surviving. I don't know what you meant in your first comment about the deterrent being a thief. Maybe you can help me understand what you meant, and I can say something. Is there a pre-tribulation rapture? Is there? Well, of course, there's a pre-tribulation rapture. The rapture takes place on the Feast of Trumpets in our 7 feast timeline there. Let's see. There is no mid-trib rapture. There's no post-trib rapture. Christ is taking us out to the marriage supper before the time of wrath, the time of the tribulation, the 7 years, or actually the 2,520 days, the 70th week of Daniel. We will not be here, and we cannot be here. That's dealing with Israel. That's the 70 weeks are determined upon thy people, upon thy holy city. That's Jerusalem. The church will not be here for 1 second of the tribulation. Now, he's not coming for the church, he's coming for the saints, but the church is made up of saints. And so obviously the church will not be here. We will be still the church in heaven, I believe, at the marriage supper in heaven for 7 years while the tribulation goes on and the Jews are dealt with the 70th week. That'll take place while we're at the marriage supper. At the end of the marriage supper, we're no longer the church. Now we are the wife of the groom, the bridegroom, Jesus. In Revelation 19, he gets on his white horse and he says, the wife hath made herself ready. And he takes his wife where? To their new home on the earth, the kingdom age. Okay? All right, where was we? Well, let's see. Where was we? Do you think we will be raptured before 2030? Yes, I believe it could be this year. It's my first guess right now. It's just a guess. Don't mean nothing. I'm not selling my investments, not that I have much. Don't do stupid stuff. Live like you could come tonight and plan to be an old man or an old woman, because you just Can't be dogmatic about this. We got a lot of pieces of the puzzle that no generation has ever had. I promise you that's true. We can see more clearly than the other generation. We're near the closer you get to the end, the more focused it comes in. I mean, we understand the mark of the beast. Nobody's ever understood that. We understand that perfectly. And my goodness, have you heard about cryptocurrency? We understand it now because we're on the edge of the end here. And but still, pinning this down, there's a lot of variables we could be off on. The calendar could be off. We don't know if this is 2026 or not. Well, we don't know what year this really is. We think we know, but no way to be sure if somebody fubbed something up way back there. Flubbed, I guess is what I should have said, but fubbed. Is fub a word? Fubbed? Flubbed something up. Okay? And let's see. Where was we? Nisan is our April, right? It's sometimes March. And yes, there's a pre-trib rapture. Do you think we'll be raptured before 2030? I think there's a very, very good chance. I'll be surprised if we're here in 2030. But there are people who believe. In fact, I just talked to a gentleman. If I mention his name, those of you who watch my program, you'd know him. He thinks 2030 is the 2000th year, but so I don't know. Let's see. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we get raptured before 2030? Yeah. But you know what? If we're here for 2030, that gives us more time to do something for God, right? Let's occupy till He comes. He said that's our job, not to sit on our porch swinging in a swing, waiting for the trumpet to sound. I wasn't aware until recent. Oh, the books that I've written. Okay. I wonder what the trumpet noise will sound like. It's probably literally shake the whole world. I think I answered that already. Which video are we supposed to be watching to hear about this interesting date of a potential rapture? It's on the Prophecy in the Spotlight YouTube channel. And you're on YouTube, so just click on the Prophecy in the Spotlight title under there, and it'll take you to the page. You're looking for the one, it's recent. Now, I just listed a few more videos, so it's down a little bit. It's probably 8 or 9 days old now, 12,000 views or plus. And it's called 7,000 Year Timeline dash 2026 Rapture, something like that. I think that's the title line. I believe it's 275, episode 275. It was on television, and it is getting a lot of attention. There's a lot of comments. I wouldn't advise reading all them comments. There's a lot of them comments I didn't agree with, but anyway, but I let them go. I let them have them. All right. Let's see. Is that it? What else we got here? All right. Did that make sense, Survivor? Go and watch that if you haven't watched it yet. And let's see. I was watching another guy's channel. He's hoping we'll get raptured from here on somewhere now to the 7th of March or something like that. Okay. I don't know who that is, but or thieves. I still don't understand the thieves, so I missed something. So don't worry about it. Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Esther, you're late. Esther, you will have to pay a fine. You will have to send me $20 so I can go out and buy a steak dinner. That's your punishment for being late. I'll be looking in the mailbox. Let's see. Survive. I don't know who Surviving to Thriving is. Are you new to the channel? Because I don't recognize you here. And let's see. There we go. Yeah, 7,000 Year Timeline, 2026 Rapture, may be episode 275. Exactly. That's it. You can't miss it. You'll see it over there. You can't miss it. Okay, I think that's it. I don't see anything on Facebook to answer. So Facebook, hit the like button and share this on your page, and God bless you. I'll let them go. And YouTube, we'll get off of here as well. Tomorrow, And I'm just kidding, Esther. But you go. Let's see. You were speaking about the barbaric practice of crucifixion, specifics. So it caused me to think of the thieves. Okay. Um, all right. Surviving to thriving. Are you new on the channel? Because I don't recognize your handle there. I mean, we have new people on every time I come on, but I don't recognize you. Are you new here? Are you related to somebody here? Or let's see. Oh, you've been here for years. Okay. Well, glad to see. Maybe you haven't commented before, or maybe I just don't remember. I'm 65. Okay. All right. Tomorrow, probably we'll either do the, oh, you've been gone for years and you just came back. Well, wow. Where you been, man? And hey, it's getting exciting. It really is. We know this. We're in the last days. We don't have decades left. Let's just be honest. I've already done the 6,000 year Earth, right? I've already done that one. We can't be here past the 6,000th year. It can't be because the Sabbath is the 7,000th year, the kingdom age. God cannot and will not be late for the Sabbath. So where are we on the clock? When is the 6,000th year up? That's anybody's guess. And, that's why I said you can't be dogmatic about any of this. You can't say, well, I know when the rapture is. You may have a good guess, but you can't be sure of anything. We've all had good guesses over the years, and we're still here. Hey, anybody remember 2017? 2017, and I'm not just talking about the what was that called? The thing in the stars there. Oh, what was it called? But anyway, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about there's a lot of things about 2017 that sure looked like it was the year, but we're still here. But you know what? Every year, I understand this better. And my book, The Prophecy Puzzle, I think one of the most important prophecy books you'll ever read. Probably the most important book I have written, The Prophecy Puzzle. And I'm telling you, we've got the pieces now. And I don't know if we've got them all. I think we do, but you never know. There may be another one. But I'm telling you, it sure looks like we've got enough of the pieces of the puzzle now that we can be very sure that we're near the end here. Is my date this year, this fall, is my date right? Who knows? I wouldn't bet a dime on me being right. Are you listening? I wouldn't bet money on it, and it's my thing I come up with. I hope I'm right. I hope that's it. But if it's not, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do right up until that day and beyond that day if we're still here. And there's a good chance that we will still be here because this thing's just hard to pinpoint. But look, watch the video, see what you think for yourself. And if it's not this year, we'll figure it out for the next year. But I'm telling you, there's some things about this year that I've never seen before. Never seen, and some things that I didn't know before that I understand better now. Is it possible that we're still missing something? Absolutely possible. We're still missing something that we haven't understood. Okay, so don't sell your house, don't give your money to the poor, thinking, all right, I got enough money to last till that date. I don't have to worry. Don't do stupid stuff like that. That's stupid stuff. And people have done that over the years, and they've paid for it. Remember Harold Camping? What a disaster he caused for some old people. And some of them gave everything, thinking that's the date, that's it. And they're still here. And some of them lost their whole retirement. Don't do stupid stuff like that. God hasn't called you to do that. Live like you could come today, plan to be an old person, retired. Okay? All right, real quickly, see if I've missed anything. All right, and now with this digital ID and digital currency, they're trying to bring in. Oh yeah, there's so much now that people have read in the Bible for centuries and never could understand. Like, except the Lord shorten the days, there should no flesh be saved. Who could understand that? With the flintlock rifle in your hand. I mean, how could you understand how the world could destroy itself? They didn't understand nuclear bombs and all this. And no man could buy or sell save he has the mark. Nobody understood that 100 years ago. Nobody. You couldn't understand that. We understand that. We practice that every day at the store, the gas pump. We don't have it in our hand or forehead yet, but we've got it, right? 2025 did fly by. And I'm convinced 26 is going to fly by too. And there's a lot happening that I haven't talked about yet with the president and the nations of the world, and a lot of things to talk about there too. But okay, tomorrow we'll be back, Lord willing. Now I do have church tomorrow, so it may be later. I don't know. I'll try to get on as soon as I can, but it could be as late as 9 o'clock, but hopefully not. 9 o'clock Central. I'll try to come at 8, but you never know. All right. God bless and keep your eyes on them skies.